Right, let's get started. So thanks everyone for joining. I'm James, the COO and co-founder at Web3 Management. We're an industry-leading Web3 management consultancy, specializing in helping projects build, grow, and maintain, their projects to further buyer interest. So just to give a brief portfolio rundown of who Web3 Management are, we've been established for about 2.5 years now. We've managed over 1 million community members over the social platforms. We have 105 team members within our company on an international basis, and we've partnered with over 50 global projects and received growth, success, and statistics from us. So our clients, as I said, we're incredibly diverse. Our company is saturated in both UK and Cyprus, but our clients are international. So what differentiates us? So as I said before, this whole keynote speech is about how important community really is. So having a community-first approach, especially in 2023, amidst a bear market, and obviously thousands of projects are launching every single day, it's incredibly, incredibly important to establish a community even when you're going through the development phase. Now, as I said, there's thousands of projects launching, so you have to differentiate yourself. But within this, how can you find buyer pressure or buyer interest if you don't have an established community on the socials? About 2 years ago, you could have a project and it could strive overnight. You could have word of mouth spread. And that was due to just the space being so new, the whole NFT, DeFi market. But now you have to have the utility, you have to have a community, and you have to have inclusivity and transparency. Having these 4 points is probably the main focus when launching a project, definitely. And you have to have a bespoke consultancy. So just with all of our projects, everything's tailored within it. And of course, organic social growth. There's a lot of agencies, well, marketing agencies, which pose to give you X amount of followers, X amount of Twitter engagement rates, but you have to have the organic social growth because obviously that's going to be your buyer interest and that's how you're going to get more members coming within. And like I said, well, like other keynote speeches said today, having an educational focus should be a massive, massive standpoint for any project just because of the intricacies, the technology, which is obviously ever adapting within the blockchain community. Again, some of these members have probably come through Web 2 to Web 3 integrations. So they might not be clued up on how to even buy an NFT, buy a token, learn about the different blockchain multi-chains. So it's incredibly important to have the education in place so your community know exactly the forefront of all of it. And of course, user-friendly navigation. User-friendly navigation is for all of the socials. The community is obviously where the standpoint or the hub of where everyone communicates, talks, asks questions. So having a user-friendly navigation just makes it a lot more easier for investors to really participate in your project. So a little bit of a rundown. What's the difference between the Web3 side of the marketing community management to traditional marketing? So having a foundational community aspect, this could be from just launching your own project. You have to have an established foundational community to go within this, because obviously this is where you're going to start having organic growth. This is where you're going to have more word of mouth spread. Again, like I just said, having a user-friendly navigation in the servers, so Discord, Telegram, Twitter, and extensive education relayed into the community. Within this, once you establish your foundational community, once you start having this bit of word of mouth, bit of traction from the organic structure of how you've processed it, utilizing your community for free marketing is a strategy where a lot of startups, a lot of Web3 projects don't really understand or don't really utilize it as much. So once you've built this foundational community, it could be of X, could be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 members. You can utilize them for free marketing campaigns. We've personally, so Web3 Management, we've had tens and tens or dozens of companies or projects approach us with incredibly high marketing campaigns, and they've received little to no exposure or traction or even buyer interest. And that's because they've done the traditional Web 2 marketing, the email funnels, even sometimes through influencers, and it doesn't work out. But having the organic interest or creating a loyal foundational community under you, you can utilize them to broadcast in other servers, go on Twitter Spaces, inevitably have free marketing campaigns. Live workshops and AMAs comes down to the transparency of what your project should entail. As I said before, obviously the whole blockchain, the whole Web3 is ever adapting, but there still are a lot of scams, a lot of dodgy individuals within the space. So to prevent this, it's good to be transparent. The community will always like having live workshops, AMAs, Twitter Spaces, webinars, educational webinars to relay. Again, you're dealing with people's investments, financials, so having this little bit more transparency, having people listen to your live workshops and AMAs is incredibly crucial, especially in the DeFi sector. A lot of these DeFi projects still aren't going through the KYC, the doxing phases. Inevitably, sometimes obviously people don't like to dox, and that's completely understandable. But having the live AMAs, the Twitter Spaces, can inevitably massively work for your project. And then again, from the further steps here, it will lead to peak buyer interest. You will have more word of mouth spread, and you will have more investors from it. So just as an indication here, the two social platforms where the community really lies, obviously Telegram's on there too, but just for two for an instance. You have Discord and Twitter. You can see throughout even the last 3 years, the amount of member count that's increased on these social platforms, and Discord now has actually overtaken Twitter in the amount of registered users on the social platform. A lot of these projects, especially within the DeFi sector, still only have a Telegram, and I always wonder why, because you're limiting where your community can sit. Now, having a Discord, Twitter, Telegram has a funnel with your community, although that you can relay announcements and everything involved with this. Just look at, from 2022 to 2023, you have 375 million Discord users, with apparently 10 to 15% of them being within the Web3 market. This statistic is meant to grow between the next 30 to 40% within the next year and a half. This is just from Discord alone. So the implementation is easy, and again, a lot of these projects, DeFi or even Web2 to Web3 integrations, don't understand that the implementation can be on 3 easy steps. So as I noted before, you have the foundational community. You can spur organic growth from the get-go, even if you're in the developing phase, you're still building out your utility, you haven't launched yet. You can still build the foundational community to have the interest, have the word of mouth spread, and then again, utilize them for free marketing campaigns. This comes down to the utilization of your community, and again, this obviously spawns more organic growth. So once your sustainable community is established, again, like I said, you can utilize them for free marketing campaigns, different strategies. You don't have to have such a large budget for your marketing spend. And then from here, once you've started developing this and you can relay it onto the community, you can start doing your activities, AMAs, custom-built games, Twitter Spaces, giveaways, competitions. Again, this just leads to more traction. I don't know how many people in here are investing into DeFi tokens or NFTs, but I know when I first started within the Web3 world, before I obviously co-founded Web3 Management, the first thing I would do is join the social medias, have a look at their website, see how developed it is. If they don't have a community, or if they don't have the website, which is now up to date within the Web3 world, then I probably wouldn't invest into it. So this just shows, just from my own personal opinion of doing this before I obviously established Web3 Management, is having this engagement. And then from those 2 steps, you can have peak optimization. This could be either just a few months before your launch or a few weeks, depending on obviously what your project is, NFT, token, whatever it might be. Your community is completely engaged with your projects. They have the educational standpoint in place. They know exactly what they're investing into. They know the utility, and they know the roadmap for the future. This, again, just leads to further buyer pressure because it's a perfect open door opportunity for your project to launch. A lot of these projects as well, say, for example, 2 years ago in the bull market, you could have maybe just a Telegram, and you would just either sell out your project or the token would go parabolic overnight without having the community. Web3 has changed, especially within the last 6 months to a year. It's a fundamental problem that these communities aren't being developed, they're not being established correctly. I can't stress this enough. So with a lot of the projects that we manage as a company, we need to understand that from this quote here, just from someone that I was speaking to networking the other day, the first steps I use to determine if a Web3 project is worth watching is a user beneficial utility and community activity. Just shows that the usual retailer investor will need to seek the socials, whether this might be Discord, Telegram, the social presence, their previous Twitter spaces to go back on live recordings, find out their previous roadmap structures or anything in that sector. So thank you. If you do want to schedule a meeting or just find out further, if you do have a project and you do want to know, how can I utilize my community? I've got this idea, I've got this project, but I don't really know where to go from here, then I'd be more than happy to have a talk. We've got our gold-sponsored booth just around the corner. Please do let us know, completely, obviously, from our team to help you. So thank you very much.